Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon or evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to Being Your Own CEO. This is a weekly success circle for solopreneurs. And we get together because we enjoy each other's company and we like exchanging ideas and information and experimentation and feedback, because I think we're going to do a little bit of feedbacking this morning. Feedbacking. I'm not sure about that word. And for me, it's all about giving and receiving support. My name is Rowlands, and I love helping solopreneurs get to where they want to go. So just a bit of a reminder about our operating principles. We all agree that relationships come before business, we stand for positive possibilities and keep an open mind, and we never sell anything that we're not prepared to deliver impeccably. And so if we are really focused on relationships, then as Scott Stratton said, business is built on relationships, building them your business. I goofed that again this time. So I guess I'm going to have to scrap that one if I'm going to goof it every time. But I like the concept. So we will begin this morning by having everybody introduce themselves. And let's see, Vivek, you don't get to go first every time, even though you were here before everybody else. So let's see, Alana, how would you like to introduce yourself this morning first?
No problem. Thanks for having me. My name is Alana. I live in Ireland. My website is Online Income and Resources, and I'm working on trying to gear up for Christmas right now with another website that has been a little stale. So I'm hoping to get that one off the ground in the next week or so for Christmas. So project. Plus, I'm trying to get my own virtual assistant website up and running as well. So I got a lot going on.
Wow. So
and it's getting a little colder here, so I'm bundling up.
I think we could all say the same, except Bill. It's getting colder here too. Yeah. So Alana, what is Christmas? Is it because something is working? I mean, something about your project is related to Christmas, or is that just a deadline you set for yourself?
Well, it's a techie site. It's it's called Techie Travel Bits, and I kind of shelved it last year to affiliate marketing website with Wealthy Affiliate. And now with Christmas coming up, and because of all this stuff happening with Samsung, I wanted to kind of update that site and kind of throw some product out there for, to help everybody who's going to be traveling around Christmas time. So it only has a few pages. I think there's only maybe 6 pages, but resurrect it. So
right on. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, welcome here.
So,
I'm glad you joined us.
Thank you.
Are you going to show us your new website or your old website this morning?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, because our topic this morning is that we're going to be doing some landing page reviews.
Okay, well, I mean, show it. I have no problem with that, but yeah, yeah.
Okay, right on.
Put it up.
Okay, so who was here next? I think, Bill, you were next.
Well, good morning. I'm cooling down as relative. We're cooling down in Belize too. It's only about 85 in the morning when I wake up now. So that's down a good 15 degrees from the 100 it was last month. So it really is all relative. And I do find myself pulling the blankets up now when it gets down to 74. So
you are acclimatized.
Yeah. My name is Bill Graham. I'm a Canadian expat living in Belize. I moved here about 2 years ago. My website is Bill Does Belize, and I provide unbiased information to help people make an informed choice on whether Belize is a retirement place for them or not.
Right on. And thanks for joining us this morning, Bill.
Thank you for including me.
Jay, I think you were next, even though you're not next in the film strip.
Sounds good. Hi, my name is Jay, and my company is Magi Studios, and we help get people started in the world of online business through education and consulting. And maybe I'll show a site, and you guys can rip it apart.
Well, I think last week we all agreed we were going to critique each other's. So right on. Craig, I think you were next.
Well, hi, my name's Craig, and let me see, how does that go? I'm an addict. Oh, wait. I help small businesses around my area and elsewhere get their brick and mortars online and bring in customers. So that's what I do. I also do some affiliate marketing on the side, and I have lots of projects in the works.
You sure do. So welcome here. How about that recent project? Are you going to make it?
My recent project was that I had to go out and cover my tomatoes last night because we got our first frost.
You are kidding. Oh my. Well, I guess.
But it's supposed to be 80 by the end of the week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry. Which recent project are you talking about?
Well, you were telling us about your painting projects the last time.
I'm finishing up the gutters on the backside. I'm doing my trim still. The weather has not been overly cooperative this.
No, you may have to postpone till next year.
Yeah.
So welcome here. I'm glad you're here. So Roland, we're not seeing your face. We're seeing your avatar.
He says Vivek next.
Oh, okay, Vivek.
Namaste. My name is Vivek. VivekTechnology.com is my website. Yeah, the weather is certainly getting me. I have a bit of news to share this evening. I would be going back to India. So this would probably be my last appearance from here, from where I am now. So yeah, few things happening in life. So
well, and we were before everybody else came on, we were speculating or talking about where Vivek is going, and I looked it up on the map so I could visualize where. And you discovered that it's exactly 12 hours difference between where I am and where you will be. So.
Yes. So yeah, it would probably make it easier. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I do my day job during the day and
stay up all night.
share with you.
Well, and you're going to Bangalore. Bangalore. Help me with the pronunciation again. But Bangalore,
It's called as Bengaluru.
Bengaluru.
Yeah.
Bengaluru. Thank you. So that is a very that's a center for technology in India. So we'll be really interested in hearing your observations of what's going on there.
Yeah, it's a technology center. It's in fact, it's also has a reputation of being the call center of the world. So if you got into trouble with your beloved Microsoft products and you called Microsoft support line, somebody in Bengaluru would be answering your call. Could even be my brother.
Oh, really? Your brother works in that field?
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh. Oh, well, I read somewhere that a lot of call centers are popping up in the Philippines.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
The only advantage with India is, I would say, that you have a huge, well-educated population, and that is the major advantage. I mean, you would think. I mean, by the way they speak, you might think that they are barely out of their college, but probably they have. Some of them have double degrees and postgraduates and doctorates and so on, but their English, at least the accent, that accent part was the most difficult thing I had to overcome when I came to UK. That was 15 years ago, but no, sorry, 17 years ago now, but yeah.
Well, I've certainly encountered people from India over the years when I was looking for technical help. I didn't have any problem with the accent, so.
Yeah, some people do have the strong accent, but many don't. So yeah.
Right on. Well, that's exciting news, Vivek.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Roland, last but not least.
Thank you. As long as you don't defect to Microsoft, I don't care where in the world you end up, as long as we stick together on our project.
I was thinking the same thing, Roland.
Don't defect. Don't defect. No, he's not going to defect. He's going to find himself in a better place. And hang on a sec. The first words coming out of my mouth this morning, I got to clear my pipes. Roland from R&D Hotline and Init Mobile. Init Mobile fell because of a major hack job on my server. And Init Mobile is inbound internet technologies for the mobile age. And that's a partnership that I have with WeWake, actually. And we are in the midst of designing our website and still working on the principles of what we will present. But it will be based on basically video and social media promotion within the website. And I'm very interested in the landing page discussion today. Thanks.
Nice. Yes, I think we all are. Right on. So welcome here. And there's Heidi, who just popped in just in time to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I had to clean up a little bit my computer before being able to come in, so I'm sorry. Okay. I'm Heidi. I live in Italy, and I'm learning to build websites. And when I've done that, I want to put in also my landing pages, which I have already created. Here is somebody stopping by, if you want to see him.
Is that the new one?
No, the new one is at the vets in the clinic. So, no. So I'm interested in learning how that is working too. So because I finally want to get out my courses. So
right on, right on. So let's see. We all said last time that we thought it would be a good idea to talk about landing pages and maybe do a few reviews and whatnot. So I would like us to begin by saying what are we looking for in a good landing page. Let's talk about some of the qualities first. I think might be a good place to go, so that as we begin to do a few reviews, we know what we're looking for. So what anybody want to begin by saying what would we look for in a really good landing page?
Well, I guess I can jump in on that one. Okay, so I think the number one thing you need to know about your landing pages when you're building them is what you want people to do at the end. So do you want people to call, click, come by? You know, do you want them to fill in a form? Do you want them to buy a product? Do you want them to go to another page? You know your end result. That is the number one thing. You know, beyond that, once you actually know what you want people to do on the site, I mean, and it could also just be merely engaging it through comments or socially share it. But once you know what you want your audience, your people to do once they get to the end of your article, then everything else will kind of fall into place, because it's almost like reverse engineering. You know, and I know many people have been taught when you blog that you write your title and then you blog and all that stuff. That's all fine and dandy. You can still do that. But I think, honestly, you need to know what you want people to do at the end before you start even doing that. Then you can kind of concoct it, right? But I honestly think is once that's done, once you have that knowledge as to what you want them to do, the title will come, the headline, you'll know what kind of imagery you want, and it really will fall into place. But so I think the next step really is to capture the audience with a really good headline. And there is a delicate art for finding a great readable headline for your audience, and also have it so that the keywords understand what you're trying to rank for. So if you're trying to rank for business coach Victoria, BC, if you just put that in as a headline, that's not really going to be captivating the audience. It'll captivate the search engines, but no one's really probably going to be actually typing that in. You can do an article on learn how to find the best business coach in Victoria, BC. Right, and you basically go from there. From there, you want a really good abstract, which is a beginning paragraph, and that beginning paragraph, should be able to be read above the fold. And what above the fold means is a person should be able to read it before they have to scroll down. And that's above the fold really is more for laptop and desktop, not so much for mobile. Okay, because it's just so darn tiny, the screens, that people just instinctively scroll down. So I don't think that's really a big deal. I also believe that having a nice image either in the header or on the right hand side as a square, I think those are really nice above the fold as well. Now, when it comes to images in the header and or on the right-hand side, I think themes dictate a lot of this, especially with, what do they call it? Featured image in WordPress. Sometimes that featured image ends up, boom, right at the very top, and, consumes your whole screen. And honestly, I don't think there's anything really wrong with that. But if you're going to go that route, you're going to want to make sure that image really correlates with what you're trying to get your point across with the title, right? Because that's going to be what they're going to be seeing. So you're going to really want to invest some time in finding a really good image. Now, it doesn't have to be an exact image of what the title is, so, business coach Victoria doesn't need to be you standing there, it could be something metaphorically appropriate, and I find that those tend to work really well, when you find those fun tongue-in-cheek kind of messages or images that correlate with the data, with the title. So, and I think once you do that, you've got your bottom set up. You want to kind of find your call to action. Once you have your call to action, meaning like, okay, because you already know what you want people to do. Mm-hmm. So I think writing a call to action as your next step would be pretty easy. And then you just kind of fill in the gaps in between, and then you just kind of tweak and stuff like that. Now from a formatting perspective, the internet has taught us to write in short bursts, in short paragraphs. So we're certainly not talking about the Harvard School of Writing, where we're writing epic War and Peace based novels on our websites. So short little snippets of where people are able to consume them and not have to read long paragraphs. It's just the way the internet has evolved how humans read on the internet, right? I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, right? It's not the most grammatically correct way of doing it, right? Because it certainly contrasts in terms of how a novel is written or any other kind of written literature, but it works. So we just have to roll with it. Short snippets of paragraphs. Alana said, I read somewhere that your content should be for a grade 9 reading level. And I've read that before as well. And I think one of the reasons why that's kind of popped up on the internet levels, or the internet, is this newspapers follow that same type of mentality. They kind of dumb it down, and the reason why is it's not so much the change the level of reading, but I think it's just you want to make your information absorbed to be able to have it absorbed easily. So I think that's the reason, not because people are stupid on the internet, but so I think, and it also really does depend on the niche itself, right? If you're writing for medical journals, then obviously not going to be, putting it down to a grade 9. But I think that's an excellent point.
Well, and the other thing, and if we're speaking about writing, we need to avoid acronyms. Because because they really don't make sense to everybody. Yeah.
Well, often if I have to use an acronym, then I'll make sure that I spell it out for people and let them know what it is that I'm talking about, because there are all kinds of things that you might be talking about, and you want to make sure that they understand what it is.
Yeah. Roland is looking to jump in, so jump in.
Yeah, I like what Shay presented as the opening, the concept of what a landing page is. But I wanted to add to it, because I found that from a decade ago, I'm starting to date myself, but I've been around for more than 2 decades with the internet marketing, building websites. And I found that what was then is not now. And because of the mobile movement, the way, as he said, the way people view websites has morphed differently. And we're trying to build websites that are responsive and mobile friendly. In other words, we'll look good on the phone, but also present our business well. If they're not on the phone, what is it doing? And it's changed the way we think about the design of the website in the first place. And what I've found is the concept of putting your encyclopedia online is no longer viable in most cases. If you're a big corporation, you want to send people to an encyclopedia, maybe. You got, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on a website, and it's a really different story. But for most people, when you have a specific niche you're trying to go for, you really have to narrow down your pitch online, and it may not be what your main pitch for your call to action and all that stuff may not be the one thing that you're trying to sell. It very well might be different or a slight sidestep, because what you're trying to do first is capture people's interest. So you really have to think about who the people are who may be looking for your product, but then you have to think about who are they, what are they searching for that will lead them to you? And it's not always the same thing. A good example is this guy named Bo Eason that I was led to the other day. And he's got a really, really cool modern website, very, very much mobile friendly. But what he does is he does a lot of work with corporations and training. But what is his subject matter? His subject matter is learn to tell your story better. And I think that his call to action is become a better storyteller in 3 easy steps. Now, if you're dealing with the concept of storytelling, then storytelling captures the attention, and you want to learn what that is. I want to learn how to become a better storyteller in 3 easy steps. But is that what he's going to sell you? Not a chance. He's going to lead you to go back to your corporation to say, hey, we need to hire this guy to accent our entire staff. Now, it's like 2 different products even, but the way he gets your attention, he goes, I'll teach you how to tell your story better in 3 easy steps. So a lot of people, we should be rethinking the way we sell instead of sell what we think that we're trying to sell. We should be rethinking the strategy of what we are trying to sell and how we connect with the people. And that's the missing link. How do we connect with the people? How do we build the engagement? As you say, building the relationship is the most important thing.
So based on what you said, so the first most important thing, as Jay said, is to decide what it is you want them to do. But I get from what you're saying is decide who them are, who they are. You got to know who you're targeting.
Yeah, because
those are 2 critical things that we need to pay attention to. And then that knowing what they want, what we want them to do, that's the call to action. And it may not be, as you say, to buy something immediately.
Yeah, to draw the analogy, if you're selling fishing gear and you're playing around in an astrological community, you may not get all the people
right.
opting in that you think you do, just because you want to sell what you want to sell. So you have to think of who the people are. Am I in the right place? And if I am in the right place, what is it that the people are talking about? And they're usually not talking about your product. They're talking about an industry that will be accented or influenced by your product if they know about it. But the trick is getting the people to be educated enough to say, what is it? What is it you're offering? What is it you have? How does it help me? Why is it a solution that I should consider? And that's where the relationship bridges the gap. You build a bridge and you cross it from there. But you can't walk into a community and just say, hey, here I am. Who wants to buy me? I mean, the call to action won't do any good unless the people are interested in what you have to deliver. And what you're delivering in your call to action is usually some freebie or something. So you actually have more headroom than just, here's my target, here's my conversion, here's my sell. You want to focus on what is it that will engage people with me so that I can teach them more about what I do. And that's the social media game today.
So, but there are a number of other things. There's a couple of things that come to my mind. One of them is that the more simple, visually simple the site is, the more I find it inviting. So that's so simplicity would be one thing that comes that I would think of. And the other one is to kind of to make it very easy to navigate, so that you can, what's there, and you can find it easily without having to search around and go from one thing to another.
Agreed. Well, part of that comes with focusing more on the concept of what you want people to digest. Mm-hmm. I have a couple clients that are like, oh yeah, but I got to have a tab for this and a tab for that and a tab for this. I said, well, no, you should be building a different website to focus on that action. Yeah. And you should just be focusing on the narrow things that direct people to primarily your primary subject and your product and service. And it's not a widespread thing anymore. As I said, the attention span of people has changed along with the mode of consciousness, and you have to consider that people aren't going to stay around long enough. So if you're not the subject they want to talk about, they're gone. So
Yeah.
focus on the problem that you solve that leads people to you.
So, so Jay, one of the things that came up that you talked about, I think, or maybe it was last week, or it was in your course that you did. We somewhere along the way we talked about what exactly is a landing page, and it might have been in your seminar that you did, where there was a time when I think you referred to it as a squeeze page, where there was only you got to a page and there was only one thing that you could do on that page, and that was what I was thinking of that a landing page is or was. Do you want to say any more about that? Because I think it's for anybody who may be watching this, I think it's important for us to kind of clarify what that's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in the day when, as Roland said 20 years ago, when he walked through the internet barefoot in the snow, a landing page was that. It was certainly considered more of a squeeze page where you paid for an ad, which would then take someone to a landing page, and you get them to either buy, opt in, or fill in a form, and that's it. There's no menu, no logo. It's just words, right? And it was at the time it worked fine, right? Because they had intent to do something because they clicked on the app. Well, I mean, we've evolved. Websites have evolved, and Google Analytics has also evolved as well, because Google Analytics refers to landing pages within its analytics software in the behavior tab. So basically, any page that someone would land on from whatever source, whether it be through social media, through keyword research, through keywords and whatnot. So so that is now what's considered a landing page, is really any page on your site that someone lands to or lands on. So, it's gone are the day. There's still, squeeze pages still exist, and there's going to be a lot of people that perceive a landing page as where there's specific intent and there's no menu and stuff, but that's just not the case anymore, right? For several reasons, right? Like SEO reasons, right? If you have just a static page and there's no menu, there's no logo or footers or internal links, then don't expect that page to rank, organically in the search engines, because there's no metrics in there that will help it get ranked. So a landing page is really just a blog post or a page.
But does Jay, does every page on your website, do you need to consider every page on your website a landing page?
I would, because everyone is going to land on that page sooner or later, right? With the exception, there are exceptions such as the privacy policy page and your terms and whatnot. Those ones, you don't really need to worry about, having a nice layout and stuff like that. So, but, everyone's going to land on a page sooner or later. Everyone's going to land on a blog post, and whatever source they come from, then, that's, however they land on it, they're still landing on the page to read it,
And so, following that, so does that really mean that every page, except for those that you just mentioned, needs to have a call to action?
Well, I mean, I think so, because even if it's a simple blog post, your call to action would be get them to comment on the, at the bottom, or share it socially, let other people know about it. Like, what's the whole reason of why you wrote that piece of content? Is you can let people know about, offer your opinion. And hopefully you want to have other people learn about your opinion as well. So, so I think so, that you need to have that specific intent to get them to do something, right? Even if it's navigating to a second page. My opinion about websites, specifically with pages, not so much posts, but pages, is I like to try to treat websites as if you're a guided tour of the business. You know, oh, hey, welcome to our homepage. I'd like to let you know that we have this available here. We have this available here. Why don't you come on over and I'll teach you a little bit about this business, right? And then click, they go to the about page and so on, you know? So, and the end result is them to buy something. But if I say, oh, you know, welcome to our homepage, you know, this and this is here. Why don't you learn a little bit more about us? Here's our about page. That is the call to action, is to get them to go to the about page. You know, and I may refer to call to action as a CTA, which stands for call to action. So
yeah, right on. So Roland wants to add something.
Yeah, it's the good stuff that Jay's talking about. To add on to the concept of pages within your website, if people engage and they read long enough to absorb some of your information on any page in your website, they're there because of their interest in whatever they're trying to research, and you don't know where they're going to enter into your conversation. You don't know where they are. It might be some little tiny sidecar that you weren't thinking about, but you put it in your website. But if they land on that page, you owe it to them to ask them, first of all, did you like the content on this page, or was this of value to you, and what you would like to know more about this subject or others. And the conscientious person writing the blog is going to consider, if people get to the midway or the end of this article, they're digesting the content that I'm writing on this subject. So you would best steer people to more on the same subject if you can, or a related subject, so you can engage them on the next page and the next page. And eventually they can absorb more about what you do, but you have to focus on what they digested by coming to your site and being able to offer them more, because that's what they're digesting. They didn't land on your homepage. They didn't necessarily land on your landing page, but they wanted something. They searched on Google. Google delivered this thing, and they're saying, okay, I'm engaged. I'm reading your article. So if possible, you hand them more of the diet that they've already started on.
Okay. So so this whole concept about what should be on your pages, I guess I go back to a time when, and maybe this is 10 or so years ago too. But there was a time when I was under the impression that you didn't there was a call to action on the website itself rather than on every page. So that's kind of a shift in thinking for me. So yeah, Bill has got his hand up there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I think it's important to treat every page like a landing page. In my website, if somebody just types in Bill Does Belize, they're going to go to my homepage, which is a landing page, and it basically explains what I do, why they would benefit from it, and that type of thing. But if I do a post on residency options in Belize, then obviously the tags that I would put on that post should be different than my homepage. So the whole idea is to deliver on your promise. If somebody is looking for residency options, I don't think they should go to your homepage and then have to search for that article. You want to bring them right to that content. So that being said, if I share that out on Facebook or someplace and people click in, I can't assume that they're going to go to my homepage and find my call to action. So in my case, I don't have anything to sell, but my comment to action is, please ask your questions, please comment below, and please let me know how I can make this site a better resource for you. But that, I think, like Rowland said, you don't know where people are going to come through the door. So I think you have to cover all of those bases, and you have to treat every post as an individual post. I mean, you have to go in and you have to change your tags, I think, and you have to make your searchable stuff relevant to that post, as opposed to just a generic list of 25 tags you put everywhere.
Yeah, right. So now does the rest of the group here, what do you look for when you're searching? And Alana, I saw you typed in a whole bunch of stuff, but I didn't get to read it. It disappeared.
Well, I was kind of coming in a bit late on what Jay was talking about. And for me, when I'm writing content, I start my websites with an audience in mind. And then as my website grows, my target audience shifts. A lot of times I get annoyed when I don't have the hits that I'm looking for. But listening to this conversation, I'm realizing now that it's because has shifted, and I write one post for one type of audience, and I may write another post to capture someone else that may be slightly more related to that audience. So personally, I think I'm losing track of who my audience actually is. And when you're writing landing pages, it's very easy, I think, to lose that focus.
I would say I have a similar experience, Alana. I think you're absolutely right.
But knowing your audience isn't as you know, it's not a linear thing. You know, it's not, you know, male, female, age range. You know, it's you're right. I mean, everyone, like as you say in your comment here, my posts tend to be written for an audience that continues to grow outside of my target audience, which is great. That's exactly what you want, is you want to grow your audience that is outside of your target audience. So, you know, it sucks to be you that's happening. So, you know, it's absolutely true. You know, honestly, it's great. You know, it really is. So if you're growing an audience, but it started with that audience though. Right. So keep that in mind, is it started with that target audience. So because you actually honed in on that target audience, that's why it's growing. You know, so now, you know, if you know that your target audience has been, you know, split into two different cells here, you can then target more than one audience, right? You can also combine that audience as, you know, a target audience, right? Since it's growing, yeah, one might be male, one might be female, or one might be a certain age group, but there's going to be similarities between those two audiences. So I say just keep.
Can I ask you this question then? Because that mindset is that my audience actually isn't growing, but it's not necessarily growing according to stats. That's first thing. The second thing is I worry if posts for a growing audience that your site doesn't start to become a little disjointed because you started in one place and then you're growing and shifting to a slightly other place. So what is your thought on that?
Well, I mean, like no two people are going to be the same that land on your page. They're going to have different reasons to land on your different pages, and that's just something that I've learned. You know, that there's, you know, with one of the, like for example, the the famous football snack helmet site. You know, where, you know, a Buffalo's Bills fan is going to land on a certain page, and versus a Philadelphia Eagles fan is going to land on a different page, right? But they're both, you know, so they're both completely different audiences, but they're NFL fans. So they're like, it's this one major thing. So, you know, yes, I'm writing for different people on those different pages, but I've managed to find a commonality between all of these people that are different types of audiences, you know, and that's football fans, right? So like, for example, Bill's, I'm looking at Bill's site, right? You know, he's got different posts based on US and Canada, cost of living, dream home, you know, this and that, you know, so it's different audiences, but there's a commonality there. It's people who want to go live in Belize, right? So with your site.
So could we show that in some way? Bill, could you put your website up, or Jay? because we did say we were going to do some reviews. So
Well, I can put Bill's site up. I can
I've
show
got it up
Bill's.
if you want to pin it, Lolan.
yep, there we go.
Just one little aside, Jay. Make sure that you do focus on the Buffalo Bills because they're getting rabid. They've won 3 in a row.
Yes, but all good dreams must come to an end.
Going back to what Jay said, and he's 100% correct, but I think in your website, I think you have to have a focus. I mean, in my case, I found that my niche was, and if you come to Belize and look for information on Belize, you're going to find that 90% of the sites tell you the nice, beautiful things of Belize, but they won't give you any of the information of the things that are going to drive you crazy. So that was kind of the niche that I decided to cut out for myself, that I was going to strictly help people that were going to move here. And if you want to come here on vacation, I can almost guarantee you'll have a wonderful time at the resorts. Come and do it. But to be unbiased, I don't want to be advertising resorts. I don't want to be advertising the tourist industry. And that's why I don't advertise on my page and that kind of thing. So I think it's important to kind of not just know your audience, but know your purpose as well and try and stay true to that.
Yes. Yeah. Can I actually show you how I did, here, I'll show you exactly what I did here. Google. I'll share my screen in a second. I want to show Bill how I kind of went through his, navigated through his site.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah. All right. So this is a little website called Google. And so I did Bill Does, and one of the great things, I know it's probably hard to see, but it's auto-filling for me. And the next thing it says, Belize, right? It's like, oh, perfect. That's great. So it's good because then Google is now recognizing your brand. So that's great, Bill. So I click on that, and then there we go. And then I clicked on this one, the home page. And I looked at this, and the recent posts, the first one that I clicked on was Belize's low-cost living, so which is right here on the right-hand side on the recent posts area. So I went and clicked on that, and I kind of skimmed through it. And honestly, I was looking at these headings, like shop wisely, forget US dollar comparisons. Those are what kind of I skimmed through to look at. Location, and then I saw this, right? This is there's a duo call to action, which is great. So it's subscribe and let me know if you enjoyed the post. But then I said, this is the one thing that captured my interest here. It says, to give you an idea of what $800 a month will rent you, check out this house that we rented when we first arrived at Belize. So I clicked on that, and that actually took me to YouTube, and it opened up a new window, so that's good. So I actually I didn't watch the whole video, I just kind of skimmed through it to the part where I could see the house. So it's just photos, which is great. I see the landlord's giving you the finger there. Oh no, she's pointing, never mind, okay. So, I kind of went in, and this is great. So I can look at this. I can look at what $800 a month will give me, which is great. So, this is great. And then I gave it a little blink. There we go. So, yeah, give it a little thumbs up, and I'll probably share that once we're done. So, that was just a pure organic search. So from listening to the brand name, Bill Does Belize, going to the home page, clicking on something that I had interest in, right? This low-cost living. It's like, oh, wow, okay, I can get that for $800. That's great. So that was just a true organic. I didn't even look at his home page. I didn't even look and read any of this stuff. I went here, right? That's just because that drew my eye. right? And I think probably one of the reasons why it drew my eye was because this is what Bill has always talked about, this, you can have a really nice place, and live a wonderful, have a wonderful experience inside Belize, so this is great, some suggestions, if you want to hear some suggestions, I'm more than happy to give you my 2 cents here.
Always happy.
Okay, all right. So your bullet points, those should be changed instead of bullet points. You should make those H2 or H3 tags. So give you an idea.
Yeah, and those bullet points typically are H2 tags.
Okay.
I don't know why on my site they don't display bigger, but
that's probably just because, well, what you've done here is you've got your main one, the main title here is an H2, right. And then this is an actual list. So maybe make them H3. So I think bullet points are more reserved for short snippets, where these are subheadings. And maybe as getting some images, some small ones, once in a while to have them over on the right hand side, to just kind of captivate what you're talking about, because what it does is it breaks up typical monotony of content, right? So, and it's funny, I'm not a fan of different colors like this, but it worked. So, it captured my attention, right? It drew my eye, created the primary focal point. I like how you did your links here, very subtle link. You have a real talent for writing. It's very honest, right? It's very honest writing. But those are the only real 2 suggestions that I would say is change these to heading tags, so H2 or H3s. Maybe throw in some more imagery for longer posts like this, to kind of keep my ADD attention. And then that's good. Other than that, I think it's great. So, and then you've got a follow us thing here, but then there's no thing for Facebook there. So you've got the share buttons, which is great. But I assume that this is supposed to be like some sort of Facebook iframe.
Explain what you mean by Facebook iframe, Jay, please.
So I would imagine Bill has a fan page of some sort or a group. So when you have a group or a fan page, you can have it so as a little widget here, which would then have Facebook provides a piece of code, which then creates just to give you what it looks like. Oh, Facebook must be having some issues then. Oh, there it is. Okay, there. So it shows something like that.
So you're saying that social share button didn't go anywhere?
No, right here. See where it says follow us?
Yes.
I was expecting there'd be a fan page widget in there, but there's nothing in there.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and that shouldn't even be there.
Okay. Yeah, so there you go.
But yeah, I find those share buttons very, very important in a website too, especially if you're going to use your website with social media.
Yes.
Because it's a way around sharing dual content, which Google will penalize you for. You can actually share that stuff out to Facebook or Google or Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we can get an idea here what Bill's site's doing on the internet.
Well, I appreciate the advice, Jay, and the kind words on the stuff that you liked. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it makes me want to go live in Belize for a month or two.
Right on.
So yeah,
I know this guy that lives there.
There you go.
Well, so he says, but he's on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, for all we know, it's max headroom, right?
but something I wanted to add that goes back to something a little earlier, and it's good to know all of these things ahead of time and where you want to go. But it's also important, and I found that your website and your landing page and all of these different things are not one and done.
Yes.
I mean, you're always going to have to go back and revise. I mean, I found that my audience was 45 and older, and that I needed to increase the font because it made it easier for people as they get to our ages that want to be able to read. You got to make your tap points a little bit bigger so they're easier for people on mobile and that stuff. So it's good to add a few plugins that help you with that stuff.
Yeah.
Tell you who your audience is, because you can never know for sure. You know who you want to attract, but only analytics will tell you who you're ultimately attracting and who your audience is.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Right on.
But, yeah, and you know, according to Google, or according to this tool, you know, you're ranked in Google. So, you know, for 100 odd keywords, not page one, but you know, it's how old is the site, Bill?
It's just over a year old.
Okay, all right. So I think you're doing a great job. One thing you might want to consider doing to increase the rankings in your in the search engines is create more internal links.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Okay. So you know what I mean by that?
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Bring people to other pages.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, for other people who don't know, it's putting links to your other pages within a post so that people kind of move around your site and find other things.
Yeah.
Relevant links.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. So like, for example, that the word the house, that would, you know, that's kind of an internal link for you, because you're actually, yes, you did take them to YouTube, but you took them to your channel, right?
That's right.
So not only is it really good for search engines, but it's really good for the user experience, right? It's like creating footer notes and stuff like that. So
one thing to make sure that you probably want is, if you take them out to that YouTube, make sure that there's a link back to that page from YouTube in the description of the page.
Yes. Yep. At the very least, go to your homepage if you don't have a specific intent that, you know, another thing too is that you can embed the video right onto the site, right onto the page as well.
Yeah, and that's something I do. I actually have a separate page for all of those videos right on the site.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I see that on video posts. So cool.
So we are at the top of the hour. I was hoping we would have more time to critique some others.
Well, I'm happy to give some advice like after the broadcast. So.
Okay, so I want to. I think. In fairness, though, we need to. What was that? Did I miss something?
Just on Bill's site, and I'm looking at one of the everyday life gallery. And I'm looking at one of the golf carts that he has on there. It's great. It's like it's pimping golf cart. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's time for us to close now. I want to thank all of my guests on the panel this morning for coming and sharing what they know. And I do want to remind everyone to go to the Being Your Own CEO community and find things that we're all posting there and react and so forth. And I also encourage all of our viewers to get to know the people on the panel here, because they all do some wonderful work. So this is Rowlands signing off for today. We'll see you next week.